Hi, my name is Eli Teague. This is my response to the two films, Forever in the Moment and Dangle. For film, our film responses for sociology of sport. So let's just jump into it. The first question I see listed are what questions did you have during the film? Obviously I had many. Both these films deal with sociological issues within sport, especially towards women. That's really what they're based off of. But really some questions that come to mind are sexism, racism, um, putting people in a certain class when they fit a certain role you think they fit, things like that. Um, Pay rates for women, objectifying women, just the list goes on and on of the questions that I had during these two films, really. And I feel like I'll be able to sum it up better towards the end when I conclude this. But to the next question, it says, what takeaways did you have from watching the film? And honestly, some of the takeaways were, just there was plenty. I mean, it boggled my mind how these two films portrayed what I'm sure women go through on a daily basis. It's something I'll never understand being a man, especially in sport, though. Just the things that they say, the way they're treated, the way they're viewed, the strength, the physical aspect of women, how they're viewed, even the objectification, calling them hot and sexy or whatever when they're on the court or something. But, and you have some athlete like Odell Beckham Jr. or LeBron James or something, they're beasts, they're a savage, but these women out here, they're beasts and savage too. They're killing it. There's a bunch of women out here playing on the PGA Tour. There's the WNBA. There's women's national soccer team. Like, they're all doing these crazy great things, these achievements, but they're almost overshadowed just because they're women, and I just don't think that's right. This leads me to the next question that we have here, and it says, what is at least one current event or issue that deals with the sociological issues in sports? And really, I mean, there's many current events. I mean, you can take, for example, the Serena Williams event, her get in the argument with the tennis coordinator, the referee, really. And I personally believe it really is because she's a woman. I do think she's a sore loser. I think there are some things that didn't help her case, but ultimately I think it comes down to her being a woman and also being a black woman. She's got two things against her, and that's not the way the world should be. But the times we live in, we obviously see that there's a bunch of stereotypes, a bunch of racism, a bunch of sexism, classism, oppression, just a lot of these things towards certain classes of people, and that doesn't it doesn't stop just because it's in sport. And it's hard to sum it up in such a short little gathering. We're trying to tell people what you think this is and what that is, and how these two films relate to the whole picture of sport. And it would take years, hours, I don't know, like I couldn't even imagine how long this would take, but it's not black and white. And there's just, it goes on and on. And this kind of leads me to that next question, and it's asking how are these two films connected? And they're obviously connected, due into part that they deal with women in sport, but they deal with women are oppressed. They deal with that women are objectified, that they're shunned, they're just kind of swept under the rug when it comes to such high achievements in sport. And I really think that if you look at the broader picture, it's not just within sport. I know that's what this question's asked, but it's really just in general in history. I mean, there's so many women that have overcome just amazing adversity to prove everyone wrong, to have all these doubters and these haters, and you'd be like, yo, I did it, which they did. But I mean, they obviously went through a lot of self-doubt themselves. I mean, they went through just countless setbacks, and that's due to just personal setbacks people are going to face when they're trying to achieve goals. But that's also due to the way they're viewed in sport, the way they're viewed in history. They're women. They're the weaker of us. They can't do what men do. They can't succeed and do this. They got to stay home. They got to be the moms. They got to cook. All these stereotypes and things that people think what women are. That it's this crosses over into sport. Take for example, I mean, you look at when girls want to play football, they're always the kicker, which is good. I'm cool with that, but everyone's like, oh, you're just the kicker. Like, good job you did that, but you probably can't do anything else. And it does play in part some with the physicality. I mean, you're probably not going to have a woman who's 400 pounds in an O lineman or a D lineman, But a woman can be a quarterback. She could be a wide receiver. She could, a running back. There's plenty of other things women could do in sport. But men, and it's not always men. It could just be really anyone. I feel like women even view it that way sometimes too. But, the physicality, the physical strain on a contact sport such as football, people just believe women can't play it. But, there's obviously people that have proved us wrong. There's women out there playing on the PGA Tour that are killing it. They're better than some of these professional golfers that are men. There's women's national teams for soccer. There's softball. You had Jenny Finch. They even said her pitches equated 95-mile-per-hour fastballs in baseball. But then again, you've never seen a woman pitch in baseball. And, it might be some turning point within this ever-changing society we're in that you might see that down the road. And I'd be cool. I'd be happy to see that. I'm okay with women being in sports. It doesn't bother me. But I think another big reason of why we don't see women in sports take off the way they do is it comes back to the money thing. If you look at prize pools for such as PGA Tours, even internationally, if you look at cricket, the World Cup of cricket, the prize pool is in the millions. But if you look at it for women, it's not even close to that. And it does deal in part with the fact they're not going to have sponsorships and things like that and all these companies coming together to say, hey, yeah, we're going to put all this money into women's sports, but, the money's really over here in men's sports. And you kind of have that gray line when it comes to the Olympics, though. I've always thought about that because men and women compete, and, there's women competing at such high levels of excellence, and, they're beating out men. But when the Olympics is over and all these countries are done holding hands and we go back to our regular, globalized, globalized world, really, and you have, your politics, your wars, and all that stuff, but people still view women as the lesser. And I don't know when that'll ever change. I think it's going to take a lot to change that. I think it's going to take a lot of views to change. Here in America, I think they're making an impact of changing it. But if you look at foreign countries and things like that where they still don't respect women, where, women can't even drive in some countries. Women can't even show themselves, They have to wear burqas and certain things like that. That's just, cultural aspects play into this. And that's kind of the part where the Olympics do kind of fade that away. And you kind of get this almost mutual respect for everyone. But when that event's over, it comes right back to the fact of, oh yeah, LeBron James is the best. He's the highest scoring player or whatever. And Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant. The list goes on. And then you come to the WNBA, people don't know their names. They're still having amazing feats, And I don't know how it'd be if they went one-on-one with LeBron or something, but they're still holding their own. They still deserve to be recognized and things like this. And it's just, it all commingles and plays into one that, it's the way society views women. They viewed that way for so long, and I really think it's going to take a lot to change. I think it's going to take people talking like this, getting the word out, and letting it be recognized that, women can do what men can do also. It might be slightly different. It might not always be up to the physicality standard that people think. Women are probably not going to be able to be on a football line, an O-line or D-line. They could be one day, but they'd have to be that certain type of woman to be able to do that. And I don't think anyone should be held back from that. Everyone should have the equal opportunity to do so. And, I think that's really what we're trying to work towards within sports, and I hope it gets there one day. Thank you.